Hello and welcome to the Grumpy Old Man Podcast. I'm not really that old, but most people probably do consider me to be quite grumpy. I'm not naturally grumpy. I'm actually quite open, inclusive, and friendly. It's just that there are a lot of things with the direction our world is headed that I find reasons to complain about. I'm Harvard Schmarvard. Well, not really. But I think it's a pretty cool alias, so I'm going with it. I am not a big media company pretending to be an individual. I really am an individual. Nothing on this podcast is fake or phony except my name. Everything I actually believe and simply want to share with you. I don't profess to know everything, nor do I think my ideas are the only right ideas. I'm sure there is plenty I don't know and haven't yet thought about. I'm here to learn too, so please share your thoughts and observations. In the 1970s and 80s, I remember my mom saying things like, "Who needs that? That is never going to take off." Or, "Why in the world would you buy such a thing?" I'd answer that it was progress. Things are much more advanced than when you were young. Yes, this has been going on for decades, maybe even longer. I don't think I'm quite as resistant to change as she was, but I definitely have become more like my mother as I grow older and gain wisdom. Some forms of progress are amazing and have improved society immensely. Smallpox and polio vaccines, safety features in cars, CAT scans and MRIs, advancements in crop yields and the way we can feed 8 billion people. These things all have a purpose and have changed human life for the better. But the vast majority of stuff that is considered innovative or an advancement or progress today, it's just junk destined for a landfill. Many of the things in our modern world, nobody needs. Nobody would even want them if it weren't for the hundreds of times a TV commercial for that same thing bombards us and brainwashes us into believing we actually need it. That is what this podcast is all about. Me sharing these types of observations, pointing out things that are hidden in plain sight, things that once considered seem totally obvious, things the news or your government should be informing you of, but they are not. We'll do an episode on the news. If you've already guessed it from my name, we'll do one on higher education in the U.S. as well. I gain inspiration from history, nature, logic, and common sense. Don't expect to be dazzled by some new innovation or discovery, but rather simply by having a light shone on what we already knew but somehow forgot. Seeing silly ideas for what they really are, no matter how many times experts tell you otherwise. I hope you find this podcast fun and informative. I suspect some might agree with me and others may not. That is the whole point. You should have an independent opinion. You should think for yourself instead of following what someone else tells you to think. The internet is full of people who don't know their ass from a hole in the ground but act like they are experts. I don't want to be one of them. I will not tell you what to think. I'll just point out observations you may have missed. Feel free to add comments. If I think that someone may care about what I have to say, then maybe they'll care about other perspectives as well. I'm not a doctor or a psychologist. I'm just a grumpy old man.